Alright, just pushed it, so give it a couple seconds.
Yeah. Oh, this one? Yes, yeah.
Special, not that much. All right, it is 5:30 and I'll call the meeting to order. Alicia, would you do roll call for us, please?
Sure, Lacey Oster. Here. Sherry Link.
Here.
Michelle Lesha. Here. Bruce Belargin.
Here.
Lori Belargin.
Here.
Matt Foucault.
Here.
Marge Blue.
Our district mission, together we engage, educate, and empower all learners, bridging their passions to pathways to create successful futures and positively contribute to our local and global communities. I did not receive any requests for public comment. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I will make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you, Sheree.
I'll second.
Thank you, Matt. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So we are here tonight to meet with Dr. Johns regarding our schedule for hiring a new superintendent. Would you like to take it from here?
All right, thank you. We also have Dr. Dragseth with us, Ken Dragseth, this evening, remotely. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to do an overview of the process, and we will just briefly do that via the letter to the stakeholders, because it kind of gives them a clue as to what's happening. The next thing is to establish the search calendar, and that calendar is important. Ken will do that and speak to its importance throughout the process and why we need to do it and commit to it as a group. Then I will work with you on establishing the groups that you would like us to meet with and the individual interviews that you would like us to do. Ken will talk about advertising campaign, the board liaison for communication. First, I said a little bit about Ken when I introduced Ken and Dave and then me, but I asked Ken to do a little introduction of himself. He could tell you a little bit more about himself. Ken?
Thank you very much. It's, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, great. Well, it's good to be back and be with you again. We're certainly looking forward to working with the Somerset School District again. I'm pleased to be back. I think Tony told you a little bit about myself. You saw the information in the proposal, but I've been with the company since 2005, and I think I've done probably over 70 searches in the Midwest, and mainly Minnesota, Western Wisconsin are probably the largest amount. We, as Tony said earlier, Tony and I owned the company for 4 years, and then we sold it back to Illinois. We wanted a little more time to ourselves. So we're doing that. My other experience, other than being a superintendent in the Edina school system for the last 14 years of my career, I spent 8 years at the University of Minnesota running their administrative licensure program. And so we worked with a lot of candidates both from Wisconsin, Western Wisconsin and Minnesota, searching to get their district administrator or superintendent's license. So again, I'm just glad to be here and look forward to this evening.
And before we begin the process, we want to thank you for selecting us again. It's always fun to come back to a district that we've worked in before to see the changes. And every single district that's invited us back, there have been significant changes. And the profile doesn't look the same, which some people would say, oh, that can't be, but it is true. The things that you had to concentrate on then, you may not have to really concentrate on right now. And maybe you've something entirely new when we get ready to start looking for a superintendent. And by the way, I told you that you would be a premier district and people would be really interested. We've already had someone suggest someone to us to look at, and we've already had someone say, talk to me about that. Called us. So I think we'll be recruiting, but I think you have a lot of interest in this district at this time. So if you want to look at the document that we gave you initially, or for tonight's meeting, you began in the first paragraph by hiring us in the end to facilitate and help you with the search. The second paragraph speaks to the fact that of the three of us that will be working with you, and that the first step really is to create the superintendent profile, or district administrator profile in your case. And we do that by meeting with the focus groups and holding individual interviews. We'll put all of that together in a report from the online survey, a report from the focus groups and individual ones, and like, we'll meet with you individually, but you'll be a group report. And then we'll create a draft profile, and you will review that and give us any modifications that you have or changes before it becomes the real profile. And then we'll ask you to put that on your website, your superintendent search, little click to the website to find the profile and the calendar for the search. People will have an opportunity to confidentially give feedback on the survey form. When we get that set up, we'll ask that a click be put onto that superintendent search so people can go directly there. Then the position will be advertised, and we'll talk about it, whether you want it nationally or just regionally. And all these X's get filled in after we determine the dates today. So it'll be posted. We'll ask you to, I made an assumption that the meeting might be in the high school library, the community meeting for families. We can talk about that tonight and at what time. But then we will present candidates to you one evening. Then typically the next 2 evenings are when you do the interviews of 5 to 7 people, 4 to 7, 5 to 7. And then we will hold individual all-day interviews with the finalists, 2 or 3 finalists. They'll each come for a whole day, but your obligation is only from about 5 o'clock on, which we'll establish the time today. Everybody will give you feedback from that day, that's the time they spend with them, as focus groups again, inviting the same people back and anyone else that wants to come to community meetings. And they'll give you feedback that on a form that they filled out, either it'll be done electronically or hard copy. Each of you will get a complete set of all the feedback that day before your final interview. You'll get it when you hopefully come to see the community meeting and observe the candidates, and then you'll have dinner with them. And if you need more time than just looking through them when you're here at the community meeting, we'll give you that time before your final interview. Then your final interview it will be after dinner, and it would be usually an hour to an hour and a half. And they're very different interviews. The first one's very structured, as I said that night, and the second one is very open for you to delve into areas that you're interested in about each candidate. They don't have to be the same. So what we hope to do is to modify this letter with dates. If you have any critical input on the content itself, you can give that to me. You can either give it to me tonight, or you can give it to Lori as your board chair possibly, and she forward it to me. We'll talk about who will be the liaison. Sometimes people actually contact us, as put in the last paragraph. People in the community may actually contact us to talk. So we always put that on the board website so that they have a connection. And we put our personal cell phone numbers in there. Questions about the letter that we'd like you to put up on and you can send this out to all your staff too, via email, so that everybody gets the sequence of events. If they want to set aside the time to either listen or participate.
Yeah, I think we
And we'll talk about how open or closed it will be too, as we set the dates. This next sheet is the questions that we ask in the profile, both online and in person. And online, as I said, they get some prompts and then an open box for every question. Okay, well, probably the first thing that we should do is establish the calendar. Establish what you want to be open as part of your search, because in Wisconsin, you can do it closed, and then set the calendar for that. Ken, do you want to do that part as the open and close?
Okay. If you turn to page 5 on your document, it has a tentative calendar that David, Tony, and I have put together.
Here. Looks like,
If you look at the first line, obviously, that's tonight, it probably should be 5:30 instead of 5:45. We're meeting with you. And then as Tony said, get the stakeholder letter out as soon as possible. So hopefully we can get all the details done tonight so that that can go out by the end of the week. So everybody knows what the process is and the timelines and so on. So we're going to move forward. We would also like to set up the internet feedback for the community online survey. It could be March 25th, it could be next week also. We would like to have it go up about 2 weeks. And
stay
if
up.
you look a little bit farther down, you'll see that we are proposing in roughly 2 weeks to have do all the focus groups on one day, April 11th, that's a Monday, with a evening community meeting at that time. And Tony will go over all those focus groups and individual interviews as we talk about that. But the idea for the online survey, probably if we would put that out instead of, March 25th it was Friday, if we would put it out at the beginning of next week, we would still, if we would put it out roughly, the 28th or 29th, we'd still give at least 2 weeks before the focus groups and all the interviews. So I would suggest instead of doing the 25th on that, that maybe we do the 29th. This allows some time to work with your people and have time then to get that set up, and that's plenty of time before we would need that information.
Before you go on to the next item, Alicia, are our IT people working this week?
I'm not sure. I know some of them were here earlier this week. I don't know about the rest of the week.
So that makes the 29th better.
Well, the reason I'm asking is because we're on spring break this week, and if the IT people are here, they might have more flexibility in their time to get this set up this week than next week when the kids and staff get back.
Well, if I can add something here,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
usually
jump in, Tony.
I usually set up the survey
Okay.
online. Do you want Spanish and English?
We have Spanish speakers in the community.
Do you want, it's not hard to do both.
Yeah, I think we should.
Okay, so I'll do Spanish and English, and if you can give me, Alicia, the contact information for your IT people, I can talk with them. And if it can get up by the 25th, I'll do that. If it can't is okay, Ken, and if it can't, I'll do it next week.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
So then is it like a link that we get?
Yeah,
that we can
I will
post?
give you a link. After I've set the two up, I'll give you a link for the English one and a link for the Spanish one, and then he can just put them on your website and people can get it. Or if you there's another way to communicate with everyone. Some districts send out an email blast to all families and key communicators that they send things to,
Mhm.
and they put a little statement in there and say, click here, and it takes them right to the survey, too. So I can talk to your IT about how to do it here.
So one of the things Bruce mentioned before about being concerned about is we want to make sure that people in the community actually are aware and know about it. The other thing that we've had some interesting experiences with is the same person filling out surveys multiple times.
They can't on the same computer at least, according to our system, SurveyMonkey.
Okay.
They'd have to go around to different computers, different places.
Yeah,
But we
might-
haven't
yeah.
really felt that we've experienced that. We had this discussion, didn't we, Ken, somewhere else
So
recently?
you do it on your phone or your iPad.
Oh, no.
Well, different IP addresses, so you could, but this is just gathering
We
information.
really haven't had a feeling that that's happening. And you can usually tell because they'll fill something out in the box, too. and we haven't really felt that way. There's great consistency between parents, and then there's great consistency between teachers, we find.
So we could put it out, I guess, post it anywhere too that we wanted to make sure people saw it.
I'll talk with IT about how he or she could communicate to make sure they hit the community itself. You know, beyond parents.
We don't have a local newspaper anymore.
You don't.
No. And that has made everything much more difficult. And with Facebook, it seems like it's a lot of the same people over and over and over again. And I'm not sure we're getting a wide variety through that social media either. But if we just put it on our website, we don't get a
I
broad,
mean, I think we gotta try to share it individually, our
Yeah.
pages and
Community pages.
community
A lot of
pages
people
and,
share then
Yeah.
that school
People-
page.
yeah, I mean, the school's
Should I
Facebook
ask
page.
about that page, school page?
Yeah.
Well, as long as there's a link to share it,
Yeah, I think the link shares,
that's the big piece.
we can,
Everyone needs to be able to share. That's how you get around some of the algorithm stuff.
All the conversation. Okay, go ahead, Ken. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a little hard for me to hear all of the interaction, but Tony, I'll go ahead with the.
Yep, yep. I
Okay.
spoke too softly when I said, Ken, go ahead.
Okay. We would like to propose that we do the focus groups on April 11th, which is a Monday. And that focus groups obviously will not involve a board personally. It will be all the different groups that we decide upon as a board later in this discussion. Usually takes about a day. There are 3 of us, so we can have a lot of groups and we can all cover, you know, one group or another. That becomes no problem. So we would get all the information, the same questions that Tony showed you on that sheet. Those are the same questions that we would talk with all the focus group participants also. And then after that day, all of that information that we receive will be put in a document. For example, if we say district administrators or principals, whatever, we would list all of the information give us, obviously not by name, it would be anonymous, and it would be response to all the 5 questions that are put in front of them. All that information would be gathered, and then we would put together and add all the individual interviews that we're going to talk about, and then add the information that we received from the online survey. So all that information together, we will put together what we consider a superintendent profile. In other words, what does this district, through all its different participants in this process, what do you see as what you would like in your next superintendent? What are the 8 to 10 main things that we should look for as we go searching for candidates to match your district? We will bring that profile, we're suggesting we bring that profile back to you on April 25th. I think that's a board meeting, if I'm not mistaken.
it is, both the 11th and the 25th are.
Okay. So we would bring that back to you, give you all the feedback from all the different focus groups, give you the information from the online surveys, so you'll have a lot of information from all the different groups. That will be given to you by that evening. Usually we try to give it to you a day or 2 ahead of time, so you have time to review it and look at it prior to our meeting. Then we'll present what we think are some of the key characteristics that you're looking for in a new superintendent. You obviously have an option at that time to add other ones, modify it, drop out things if you don't see that makes a difference. But it's your profile, but we're going to give you something to start with and go from there as you put that profile together.
Ken,
So
would you recommend that we do that in open or closed session?
I think it's really up to the district. you know, in most districts, it's just part of the regular board meeting.
Okay.
You'll get a lot of information that won't be public. I mean, we'll send you all the feedback, the comments that people make and so on in their feedback. All that information you can have privately used for your, you know, your decision. What we will give you is an overall summary of that, and typically that's been given publicly, but, you know, I know in Wisconsin you can do it a little bit differently, so whatever you choose to do, we find you don't have to make that decision tonight if you don't want to.
Okay,
So then, after all that's been approved, we'll use that and we'll post that on your website so people know what we're looking for in the profile. We are going to start recruiting candidates, and like Tony said, we've already had some inquiries already, but we are in the process, once we were selected, to start thinking of people that might match up, but also setting up the process for going through the recruiting process. And we're suggesting that we do roughly about a 6-week recruiting process, starting tonight. It could be March 22nd, going through May 4th, and we will recruit candidates. And in that process, we both obviously take applications from people we may not know, and then we will also talk to people we do know that we think might match up with your district based on your profile. We will vet them, we will do reference checks and all of them, what we will try to do then on March 9th, we'll bring, if we do them on May 9th, we would bring in 5 to 6 candidates to you, and you can do that in closed session or open session, whatever you care to do. We will talk about these candidates. If we do an open session, we would give you information without names at that point, and talk about the candidates and all their reason that we are presenting them to you and their backgrounds and those kind of things. Once the board has approved the slate of candidates, we will give you a very extensive candidate file that will include an online application form on our site, which is anywhere from 6 to 10 pages. We will do graduate transcripts for the candidates. We will do a certification requirement. We will do at least 4 references from all of these people. We'll do a cover letter. So all of that documentation will be available for you before you do your first interview. Usually that material, runs anywhere from 25 to 40 pages, depending upon the candidate and the number of references and all of that. So we will make that available to you immediately upon acceptance of interviewing them. And then we are suggesting that we do the first round of interviews on May 10th and 11th. We would do that in the evening typically. We would start, we'd probably do 3, and if we had 6, we'd do 3 the first night, 3 the second night. At the end of, and you can do it other ways, if you want to do it all in one day or whatever, that's your choice. We're just throwing this out as suggestions. And at the end of the second night, we would take you through a process whereby you would narrow down your finalists to 2 or 3. And once that decision's made about 2 to 3 finalists, then the following week we would bring them back, as Tony said, we would bring them back for all-day interviews. And let me just give you a little idea what that all-day interview would be. They would start out typically with a tour of the district by someone, in this case it could be Mark because he's retiring, or it could be a board member, whatever you choose to do. A tour of the district, and then we would start in with the focus groups that we did on April 11th. We would combine up those, so we would have probably 5 or 6 different meetings with students and staff and community members, community leaders, whatever it may be, during the day. That would be run by us, and it would not be something that the board would attend. This would be their own groups. Then at roughly, usually about 5 o'clock, we would have a community meeting where anybody, staff or community, could come and interview the candidate and give their feedback. So in all of the different meetings that we do through the day, the typical format for the candidate would be to give 5 to 7 minutes about themselves, tell a little bit about themselves, and then it's just an open forum. So people can ask questions, anything that they would like to ask. We'll be there to monitor it, obviously, so they don't ask any illegal questions, but we usually don't have, that isn't really much of a problem. Once they are completed with the 45-minute interview of the candidate, they'll have time to fill out a feedback sheet that Tony said, like, we will get to you for that evening for the interview of that candidate. That feedback sheet will ask, how does this person match up with the profile? And then basically, is there any other questions or any concerns that you want the board to address as they do in the interview of that candidate in the evening? So the idea during that whole day is to get as much feedback to you from the various constituency, obviously knowing that you make the decision on who is the next superintendent. You're simply asking people to be part of the process and provide you input on what they think and how they match up with what you're looking for. And then at the end of that, like Tony said, we'd have some kind of a dinner or something between the two, and then the board will have their final interview that night. So each day, no matter if you have 2 or 3 candidates, the structure would be the same for each of the candidates. And at the end of either 2 or 3 nights, depending on how many finalists you have, we would take you through a process again to see if you, as a board, can have a majority of the board approving a particular candidate to move forward to enter into contract negotiations with. You wouldn't be selecting that person that night. And in a sense, you would be asking your board and your HR, whoever works with your contract, to work out a contract with this person. So in a sense, you are selecting that person, but you don't officially approve them until you have a contract signed by the candidate, and then you would come to the board for final approval. So that, those dates, as you see on the calendar, would be 16, 17, and 18. Or if you wanted to push it up, if we could go the 12th and 13th, that would be the Thursday and Friday. Or if, we think there's some question about how much time you need to recruit candidates and do it, and we're confident at this point that we can come up with a good slate by May 9th in that time.
It's somewhat expedited for us.
Yeah, go ahead, Tony.
It's somewhat expedited for us because we thought initially that that's what we kind of heard that we wanted was an expedited search. We can extend that out, but we know that people are already calling us about it, and someone else has already referred someone to us about it. So we're pretty confident we can do this in this time frame. And if you think you're only going to have 2 finalists, you could choose the 12th, 13th. But most people pick 3, and I think we'd suggest the 16th, 17th, and 18th actually, because there's a lot of jobs out there in Minnesota and Wisconsin. And if you pick having 3, you might very well have a candidate that's in another pool. That's happening in other places. And so that would give you 2 left. You know, you aren't forced into a one choice, a forced choice of any kind.
So do you want feedback from us right now on this schedule?
Yes, because we want to set the
On
schedule.
the calendar, yes.
Yep,
Yep.
on the calendar.
I guess one thing I'm looking at is you gave 4 to 6 candidates to the board on the 9th, and then we had interviews on the 10th. I was wondering how other people felt if it was the 11th or the 12th, we did those first interviews. I mean, 'cause that's a lot to look through in, 24 hours.
Well,
I know right now those days do not work for me, the 11th, 12th, 13th.
They don't.
They do not.
and the 12th I have a CISA meeting.
Okay.
And I know Wednesdays are not gonna work for March, because isn't that the day that you work that 12-hour shift? We can't
We
hear
can't
you.
hear you.
I work until 8 o'clock on Wednesdays.
On Wednesday, every Wednesday?
Yes.
So maybe Tuesday and Thursday then.
Yeah. Well, the other part that we have to keep in mind too is that our board may change
Yeah,
too.
right.
So like can't say one way or the other because I don't know if I'll be on the board after April 5th. So.
Well, right now, let's just go with what we
If
have.
you're on.
Right, I know. I mean, I look at this, for me, it's not gonna work for everybody. We know that, right? It's just, that's gonna be the hard
Well,
part.
we really do want to try to make it work for everybody.
Right. Yep.
Either that they can come in, if your bylaws and everything
Virtually.
allow it, come in
Come in
virtually,
virtually, yep.
or be present. So we want to work really hard to get that. The other thing that we would do is if we need you to commit to a calendar for the search. What we would do then is share it with the candidates that are running and say, should you be selected, this is dates that are committed for the process. And we've done that in the past. And because we're also going to include them on the 11th, if that's the date that we do the focus groups, we'll ask for a little focus group with them. The 3 others off the board that are running. Because you have 6 running, 3 of you on and 3 off. So we need to get as close as we can. Would it work better to move it to the following week?
The 16th and 17th of May.
To present the candidates on, just a second. I gotta get
Well,
my-
we presented them still on the 9th.
But interview,
We hate to have too much time in between.
okay, why is that?
Because it gets to be public that they're out there as a
Oh.
candidate. So we could just move the whole thing to the 16th and do the interviews, or present them on the 17th and do the interviews on Thursday and Friday, or do, we just recently did one where we presented them on Monday, did interviews on Tuesday and Thursday. I mean, there's no one week that's gonna work for her to be here any Wednesday.
We have a lot going on that week of the 16th. I mean, just at the school in general, with all
school?
the awards, senior
Oh.
graduation is that whole week on the 22nd.
What was it, you had stuff at night or during the day that week? Was
The
it-
week prior, it's evening,
So
so I couldn't even be remote.
who's open during the day?
Not March.
I'm Mondays and Tuesdays, I'm always open. Thursdays and Fridays, I could take off work early. If we have an evening, depends on the time of day that things are happening.
I'm just saying,
So if I know ahead of time a firm date, like we're trying to nail down today, then I can see what I can do.
Especially with personal subs. Sorry.
So Lacey, what's the earliest you can be here?
I could be here by 4 o'clock.
but nothing works that night for you.
Well, I think
3:45
Thursday
if I
I
had
could, it's
something.
Friday night is the.
So you're talking about Thursday, the 19th?
No, back to
Thursday
the 13th,
12th.
that week.
May 12th? I can't, I have a CISA meeting.
Well, you're out, that's right.
What time's your meeting though?
Starts at 7.
See somebody have to, no, for the night.
So what's wrong with the next week, though? So there's a lot of stuff.
Graduation.
But there's a lot of events happening, senior night, like if they're trying to do other things here within that week of trying to meeting with other groups, there's just a lot of events going on that week.
That would just be best though.
You're taking the focus group in there.
Yeah, if they're gonna meet with focus groups or, I
That
have
would
no
be
idea,
If we-
but
But if we did the interviews that week and then pushed the focus groups to the following week with the all-day interviews, maybe that would be better.
Tell us, what would take place in those days?
On the 10th and 11th, or the first round interviews, you would have an interview, for example, at 5, 6:15, and 7:30, for example. Those 2 nights, and at 7:30 on the second night, you'd narrow it down. And then on the 16th, 17th, and 18th, it's during the day that we would have other groups meeting with them. And then, like teachers right immediately after school got out, and that. And then the community would be at 5, and then you'd have dinner at 6, and the board interview at 7:30, let's say.
But during the day, wouldn't necessarily.
Wouldn't
us,
require
that would
any
be
of you
closer.
until 5 o'clock that day.
On which day, the 18th?
16th, 17th, and 18th, all 3 days.
All 3 days we'd have to be available that night.
From 5 o'clock on.
Nope. That's me, so that's why I said that, like, I can't. I could be virtual, but I'll also be watching senior memory night, or,
What is memory night? I just
they do
had
like an
this-
awards, like that, that's the same night I believe that they do even the, I could be wrong, but they do the
I just-
foundation scholarship stuff, they do,
When is it?
so that's a whole,
Yeah, I
there's
understand.
stuff going on that week, that
What?
18th
18th
is the senior memory night on the
So
calendar.
What about the week of the 23rd through the 27th?
But that's a Wednesday, could we do? So you were talking about, letting us, presenting the 6 candidates on the 9th. On Tuesday, the 10th,
Interviewing.
could we, Tuesday, the 10th of May, is everybody available?
Yeah, that was pretty good.
No, I think Tuesday I would be, just Wednesday I can't, but Tuesday,
Okay, what about Thursday, the 12th, or Friday? Is Friday the 13th pushing it out too far, Tony and
What
Ken?
do you
And I
You
won't, I
can't
won't be
make it.
available for sure.
Friday I can, you said Thursday you have CISA.
Thursday,
Oh, I can do
yeah.
the 13th. I'd rather do the 13th.
Can we do the 13th?
Night,
So, I'll be
I'm not-
virtual.
I can't do virtual,
Not on the 13th?
no.
Oh,
Yeah, no, I
okay,
can't do,
okay.
You're hosting.
No, Legion.
I-
So I'll have to-
If
so
I-
you'd want us to introduce the candidates on the 9th, hold interviews on the 10th and the 13th,
Not the 13th.
on the 12th?
How early can you be, well, you said if you know ahead of time, Marge, you can be here on the evening of the 12th?
Yeah, I'll take a vacation day or something, depends on, or a half a day or something, depends on what time everything starts.
We can do the 9th, 10th, and 12th. Does that work for everyone? 9th,
Ninth.
10th, and 12th?
I'll be virtual, but yeah.
Yeah, that'd be okay if virtual the first time.
9th, 10th, and 12th?
Does
The
that
9th
work?
is our regular school board meeting. And that's when you just present who they are confidentially.
That can be confidential meeting, and actually the first round interviews, if you wanted to do them confidentially, could do that. One advantage to confidential first round interviews is that you get some people that don't want others to know until they are a finalist.
Right.
And so it might broaden your pool even. Ken, do you want to add anything to that? Ken?
So we would be starting at 5 those nights?
you know, the start be,
Well, that's what I'm wondering, so we would need a closed session prior.
You could start at 4 if you want to. We don't care.
How long do you think it'll take to present the interview, present the candidates?
About an hour, and finish your questions up, about an hour, hour and a half, at the most.
So 4:30 on the
do that on
9th,
the 9th.
closed session?
Yeah, that'd be okay.
Okay, I can do that
doesn't-
early though.
You can't do that early? How early can you do?
I was hoping to get here for this meeting at 6. It's a whole week of the work thing.
Is Ken gone?
Could you call in for the first half an hour or so? Appear
Trying to
by
get
phone
back
until
in.
you could physically get
Yeah,
here?
it's just that we'll have to be engaged at work as well. That's the only problem.
Oh, tell everybody not to do anything bad, and then you don't, you can.
What time could you do?
6, 7.
Well, yeah, on my
Just tell
calendar, I
us
was,
what time you can.
yeah, I mean, I was planning for 6 o'clock that night. I was planning to get out of work to be here for the regular meeting at 6, which gets late, that's all.
We can do 6 if that's.
I don't know
On
if I
the
can
ninth.
commit before that,
On
yeah.
the 9th.
On the 9th at 6
So that's
o'clock.
a regular meeting night? Can
Yeah.
we do it after our regular meeting?
We
The closed
can,
session?
or we could push the work session back. What is the board's?
It's a work
preference?
session, not a,
It's a work session. So would you rather have the closed session at 6 and then the work session? Or would you rather have the work session at 6 and a closed session after?
I guess I'd like to have the work session first, and we could adjust our agenda to make sure that maybe we just focus on what we need to do maybe for that night, and then,
I agree, that way, in the event I was running a little bit late, I would rather do it like that.
Okay? So closed session following work session,
And the candidates are here,
no.
you're just introducing.
we're just talking about them. We're not bringing anybody, it's just the 3 of us, 2 or 3 of us, whatever. May 9th. So May 9th, 6 o'clock, is your work session closed?
No.
so.
Work session.
So
It'll
the
be-
closed session would follow the work
Be
session?
7.
So it wouldn't start until like 7 or so?
That's okay. Closed session to present candidates. Okay.
And allow 2 hours for that?
Oh, I'd allow not more than an hour and a half or so. If we've done some pre-work on the questions, that's what takes the longest.
How do we do pre-work on the
I
question?
send you the questions and they send you or me what their top questions are or ones that they create themselves, any of you create yourselves. And then we look at what questions got the most interest.
Okay,
And sometimes you take that question, sometimes you modify it with some content from another one, or, you know, I like this question, but here I think we should add this because of this
okay.
to the question. So if we can, last night we had an hour and 40 minutes and we presented candidates and really did the entire tallying of the questions. So, and it was an hour and 40 minutes. So we can do it.
Okay. And then the first board interviews would be on Tuesday, the 10th, and Thursday, the 12th.
Mm-hmm. And do you want them to start at 5?
I can do 5. How about the rest of you?
5, it would be 5, 6:15, and 7:30. And we suggest that the district feed you a little something like sandwiches or salads and fruits or something. And you can eat in between candidates. A few bites at a time.
5 works for me.
Okay.
Okay,
And then May 12th also,
May 12th, 5 o'clock.
same thing.
Yep, 5,
5,
6:15,
6:15,
and 7:30.
7:30.
I will send you a modified, totally revised calendar with this, with draft removed from it by Friday. Okay? To be distributed to all of you.
You might need to call Ken, he hasn't come back on.
Yeah.
Or we can call him on the conference phone.
So Michelle, you were saying, are the 10th and the
Oh, there he
12th going
is.
to be difficult for you?
Oh,
No.
we were just gonna call you,
I can make
Ken.
those work.
Okay. And Lacey, you're,
I got back on, I don't know what happened to me. Just-
Yep, that's okay. We have established the following. That
Right.
May 9th, they are going to have a work session beginning at 6, and we are going to be with them at 7 for a closed session to present the candidates. Then on that's Monday. Then on
Yep.
Tuesday, May 10th, at 5 o'clock, we will begin interviews, and then on Thursday, May 12th, we'll have the second day of interviews,
Okay,
beginning at 5.
yep.
And then, I'll change that date, we'll narrow them down on the 12th. And then, okay, so let's move to that next week. Can you, the 16th, 17th, 18th, do the 5 o'clock on? Is that the week you're saying is everything?
16 and 17, I can do. On the 18th, it sounds like there's a problem.
Yep, and yeah, I can't do this on the 16th either. What is this one for?
the final,
The final
they
list
come
of
back
interviews.
for a day in the district, to spend time in the district and then meet with the community and you. for your-
So board
their final.
members wouldn't have to be here until
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
To listen to, the reason that we ask board members to come to the 5 o'clock is because it gives you a chance to see how they think on their feet when they're being asked questions that they're not expecting or they don't know ahead of time, and how well they handle a wide variety of topics that people may ask about, and controversial issues which are coming up more and more. And then you get to just sit back and watch and see and think about how they handle themselves, style-wise, content, etc.
But that's filmed, that's recorded, right?
But you're going to be having dinner with them next, and then you would have your interview. So there really wouldn't be time to sit and watch an hour.
So all that's in one night? They interview, we do dinner.
They interview the community, you do dinner, and then you do your hour or so interview.
And we only need one night.
3 nights.
Well, if you
Three
have
candidates.
2 finalists, you
Oh,
only need 2
got
nights.
it.
If you have 3, you need 3 from 5 o'clock on.
So truly, if one night was really bad for that, the worst part would be just if you could get back in time for the interview at the end. Because you could watch how they did the community forum.
Right, and then there's the dinner, and then
You
to
could
get
miss,
back.
yeah.
Yes, I'm trying to get a schedule of the events. Tuesday's fine for me, for sure.
That's the 17th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
That doesn't work for you?
No.
What about 23, what about 24, 25, 26?
Or 23 to 4 and 5.
Do you want that much time in between them? Or do we have to move?
Well, if you're gonna do them in, Ken, do you think that if they did them in closed session, the first round, it wouldn't be out public?
The closed session, what are you asking Tony again?
Well, they're trying to find when they could do the second round, but
Yep.
if they did their first round on the 10th and the 12th in closed
Right.
session,
Right.
it would still stay closed, wouldn't it, for a while? Until,
Well, Wisconsin's a little different, and I think you have the right to do both that are closed, at least from the last time we did with you, but I don't know if it's changed now. I know Minnesota you can't, but.
and I don't think it would be announced then if it's going to be in closed session again.
It shouldn't be
Yeah,
if it's
no, we did
closed.
it in closed
Hmm?
session. I know
It shouldn't
before.
be if it's closed.
Okay, then it wouldn't be announced if they came to a consensus agreement.
Well, you can announce it, but it's a closed session, basically.
Uh-huh.
Like you would in any other time that you would announce your board meeting and you say it's closed session, that's all.
Mhm. So it probably would work to do it the following week if that works, the 23rd, 4th, and 5th.
The 23rd, we have a regular meeting. We could change the date of our regular meeting.
I'd be fine with that.
It's,
If we could change that to the 16th. Or something.
That's all right with me. Is that all right with you?
If the 23rd and 4th and 5th works for everybody.
Do they?
The 24th will be tough for me, but I can make it maybe at the end, right? I can go to the end.
Mm-hmm. Would you be here on the 23rd and 25th?
The 23rd and 25th, yes.
Okay, well, that would probably work then.
So we are going to move our May regular session school board meeting from Monday, the 23rd to Monday, the 16th.
And then the 23rd, we're starting at 5.
You would, the candidate would be here for a tour and meeting with other people throughout the day, and we'd be here all day, one or
And
two of
so
us.
5 to 8? 3 hours?
7:30.
5 to 6, dinner 6, depends on how you do dinner, catered in or
On the
going
fly.
out. And then
BYOS.
with the candidate, what? On the fly, did you?
The
And
third
then-
interview doesn't start until 7:30. Oh,
Well,
not.
it could
No,
start,
7,
it
yeah.
could start at
What
7,
time
if you
is it?
ate here, catered in,
Yeah.
it could start at 7
Okay.
and last an hour to an hour and a half till you choose. So probably 5 to 8:30, I'd say, on the outside. But on the last night, it would be longer because you gotta make a decision of who you wanna
No.
enter into contract
So the
negotiations.
problem, I guess maybe we know with the 25th on that Wednesday is Marge is busy on those
Oh,
Wednesdays.
yeah, the 20th. So Marge, could you leave work early on a Wednesday?
I can try, but I'm actually the only one only provider there, so I would just have to kick it off.
Ooh,
But if I let them know ahead of time, I should be able to do that. I'll see what they
This
say.
is a good notice of it. This is a good length of notice.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have to take a whole day. It would be like half a day or something.
So it would start at 5?
Yes,
Right.
yes.
And if you got there later to the community meeting, that'd be okay too.
So that's the night, the 25th is the community meeting and then interview?
Yeah, it's the same as it is
Every
5
night.
o'clock community meeting, then dinner, and then final interview.
All 3 nights
Okay.
with different people.
Well, I'll check on them when I get back in town.
Okay, so this will be our calendar for now, and that we'll commit to. Does that seem,
Can you just go through that quick again?
Ken, do you want to run through it, or?
So, Tony, you were there, you have a better sense of what you heard,
Okay.
so go ahead.
All right, so we'll start with, tonight, it's 5:30, it got changed to 5:30. The 25th or 29th, we will put out the feedback online and the stakeholder letter. April 11th, we will work with Alicia to set up groups and have focus groups. And then the 25th of April, we will come to the board meeting and be presenting the profile, and you can modify or add to it, delete things. We'll recruit through May 4th still. On May 9th, we will present to you after your work session at 7 o'clock in a closed meeting, the candidate pool that we would suggest you interview. That's a Monday. On Tuesday, May 10th, and Thursday, May 12th, we will hold the first round of interviews. And do you want to do those in closed session? I
I
want to
think
make a
so,
note.
yeah.
Okay, good.
Because there's a week in between.
and because
You got a week in between
it
next.
gives,
Mhm.
some of the candidates might not want people to know
Yeah.
in the first round.
How are you letting candidates know when you close recruit on the 4th and you present to us on the 9th?
Okay,
You're just
well,
gonna call them on the 10th and say, come do an interview tonight?
no, let's run through the calendar and then I'll answer that question, okay? May 12th, then you would narrow it down to 2 or 3. And then they would come back, one on the 23rd, one on the 24th, and one on the 25th. And on the 25th, we would ask you to narrow it down to the one you want to enter into contract negotiations with. Now, to answer your question, we will be constantly looking at who's applying, and we'll be constantly talking to people to get them to apply. And so if it's someone that we absolutely want to apply, we will start vetting right away, and we will start vetting. Let's say someone gave us a name right now, and we would start looking at that person in depth, and then have a conversation with them. We have multiple conversations usually with the candidates that we're narrowing it down to. We will be talking with people well before the 9th. We will have vetted all of them by then, and we will have talking to multiple people about them. We will have said among our group who we definitely want to bring in. We will narrow it, keep narrowing to who we want to bring in to you. And then by probably the 8th, we will set up a tentative interview schedule and say to, let's say that she's interviewing, Alicia's interviewing. We will say to Alicia, we want to take you into the board. We will be recommending you on the 9th. We want to set up a tentative interview with you. We will call you to let you know if they definitely approve you that evening on the 9th. Otherwise, we take someone out.
So if we have 15 people apply, you're gonna tell us the 6 that we're gonna interview, it's not really gonna be up to the board?
We will, this is closed session on the 9th, okay? So in a closed session, we can come in with their names. Do you want to talk about this part, Ken? I mean, I don't have to.
My difficulty is hearing the
Okay,
discussion from the.
so I'll just go ahead then. So, because it's a closed session, we'll be bringing their names to you and saying, this is candidate Alicia, this is candidate Kenneth, and their last name and everything, and where they're at right now. We will have our file with us, and if you want to talk about anybody further, you don't like who we brought, we can talk further in closed
Because
session.
you're gonna send us everybody
Yeah,
who's
as long as
applying.
it's in closed.
That night, we will
As long
give
as
it
it's
to
in
you.
closed session, you can share
So we
names.
won't have them until that night?
No, you won't have anything till that night. And it's closed session. It's worked, we've done multiple searches here in Wisconsin in closed session, and it has worked very
You
well.
can't really share it before, otherwise it gets leaked out, right? We can't risk that. Yeah.
But we will share everything that you want to know that night, and then go from there.
Bruce, are you getting at, like, if there's somebody internally, I think maybe if there's anybody internally that doesn't make it through that process, do we have any say that they get?
Yeah, you do.
in that?
Yeah, yep, you do.
Is that kind of?
Yeah, I mean, that works.
Mhm.
So that night on May 9th, we could even see a list of everybody who applied?
If you really wanted to, we could. It hasn't ever been necessary. I mean, we get teachers applying, we get some people unemployed applying, we get people that we just know don't meet the criteria at all.
Oh, so they don't even have a license?
Some, well,
Oh,
teachers
yeah.
have some teachers have a superintendent, a district administrator license.
Right.
But they
Yeah.
don't have any experience.
Yeah.
They've never
Point is
left the
too,
classroom.
If we
That's
see
really
someone
hard
on
to
the
go from the
list,
classroom to the
maybe we
lead
don't,
position in a
or
district.
know things,
Yeah,
heard things, you know,
yeah.
We'll be fair with you. We'll be fair and open and transparent with where we are. And if you ask us if someone applied, we'll let you know that night in closed session.
I don't care if somebody applied this, we're interviewing for them.
Yeah.
Just-
Well, we're
Say, no,
interviewing
not
for
that
them,
person.
we only have, closed session to make a decision if we wanna move forward with interviewing them. That's kinda what you're saying, it's like
Yeah,
it's gonna happen tomorrow, where like, usually you can look at applicants and close your eyes a little bit and like, oh, maybe, let me go back and look at that again, and something didn't, stood out to you the second time that you looked at them. Because when you said that they're applying, I mean, they're gonna have, you said pages upon pages of documentation to basically say how they're qualified for the position. So that's what I think it just seems like in our minds a lot to take in one night and say, yes, let's interview those 6 candidates in the next 2 days.
But that's what we're paying these guys
That's why
for.
we
But we will have done
vet that,
all
right,
of
to do the
that
work.
kind of work that you're talking about, and we will be bringing you what we consider to be the top
six.
ones
Mhm.
out
So
of
we
those
don't have to-
15 that applied.
Because we can't do that work. It's,
No,
And-
we can't, otherwise
Yes.
that's,
That's why
that
we
gets out.
identify the profile of what we think the ideal candidate is, so you guys can fill those squares with
Mhm.
those 6
And
candidates.
if you've got a question, you want to say, let's look at it 1 or 2 more, we'll help you do that.
well, let's say we only do 3, then it has to be open, right? Because you have to have 6.
No, you're going to do, we're not going to bring you only 3 people.
No, but I'm just saying, what if we didn't like the other 3 that you gave us?
Then they'll find 3 more.
We're going to bring you 4 to 7 and typically it's around 5 or 6.
I thought there had to be a minimum of 6 to not
Publish, right?
reveal their names. That there's something in Wisconsin law where if somebody makes an open records request, and there are fewer than 6 candidates for the initial interview, we are bound by law to release those names?
We'll see that you don't have to.
Okay.
We'll see that you don't have to.
I mean, I remember
Yeah,
somebody saying
that's why I asked
that.
that question specifically.
We've never had that problem in the searches that we've done, but we know.
We have been open record.
Yeah, we've got 9
to
consultants
death
working here besides the
here.
3 of us, so we'll take care of that.
Okay, thank you.
Well, and if there's an open records request, it's nothing that needs to be fulfilled within a 24-hour time frame. I mean, we could say that, you know.
Yeah, I don't think it had to do with something being published in the paper of the top candidates that are up for,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we don't have a
Position.
paper.
well, we
I know,
don't,
I
I
We
know,
have
but
an
I,
official paper.
the
It's
people
the
in our
Star
firm
Observer.
yeah.
Our former superintendents, et cetera, here in Wisconsin. They're Wisconsin residents and still live here, so we'll get this answered. We've got 9 other people to work with, and we can contact lawyers and state association, et cetera. We'll confirm that,
Okay, thank you.
because we've not had that issue before in any search. Okay. So we're set on the calendar. Okay. And then we will see that your candidates get this calendar that's been set.
I was just gonna say.
And then, yeah,
Later.
everybody else,
Not, huh?
and everybody else, it'll be sent out with this.
Well, we'll see that
Initial
it's put on your
publication.
website, create a little
Okay.
link with your IT person. Okay. So the next thing that we need to do is talk about who you want us to talk with. So if you would look at the page that says gathering feedback from staff and community, that's our next big task, and I don't think it will take us too long, really.
Did we have to do advertising?
We'll do that down the line, at the end. That's kind of an easier one. This one might take a little discussion, too.
So is this a page in the document that you
Yep,
sent
it's
us?
this.
Four,
Yeah, there's
page
a-
four.
Page 4,
It's gathering feedback from staff and community.
okay.
Okay, there's 3 kinds, the online, the, essentially, 3 full types, online, individual, and focus groups. And with the focus groups comes an open community meeting. So the online, we've already taken care of that. Everybody can come into that on their own, and we'll work with IT to see as many people as possible get the word. Now individually, this A group, we typically meet individually as board members, but we do it mostly by phone now.
Oh,
So we set up a time, we usually ask nowadays for the administrative assistant to just give us your phone numbers. And if you've given her a time that works on the 11th or any time that week, we can connect with you. It doesn't, we have flexibility on the individuals. So if you are in agreement, we'll call each of you if you give her permission to give us the cell,
The week of
and
April
email. The week of April 11th. And then we usually talk to the current district administrator. Do you want us to do that?
Yes.
Okay. I know you don't have unionization here, but do you have any teacher leader at all that you would want us to meet with?
yeah, and we do have support staff and teachers who are still in the Wisconsin Teachers Union.
Okay, so would you want us to meet with the leader of that and groups individually? Or do you want them just included in the group?
I don't know. What do you
It's
guys
up to
think?
you.
Included in the group, included in the teacher group? I think included in the teacher group.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't need that one. Okay, and then the evening open meeting, would you want us to do that at like 5 o'clock or 7 on the 11th?
I'd go later than 5. I think that's
7?
not early. 7.
Yeah, a lot of people,
Yeah, 6 or 7.
7? Okay, and is the library a good place still?
It seems like you guys have been having
A lot of
those,
times it's in
at the
the
elementary.
elementary cafeteria.
I think the elementary is probably best, because that's right, as you walk in, it's wide open.
Right.
yeah.
Elementary cafeteria?
Yeah.
Maybe
Okay,
we should
great.
do the multi-purpose room, and then we can see how loud it is.
And, well, and that's, yeah, then they have a taste of the auditorium.
Uh, Elementary cafeteria? Okay, that's great. Now, focus groups. Or is there anyone else you want us to meet with individually, like a business manager or anybody like that?
Do you normally?
Yeah,
Some
what do you,
districts don't.
so it looks like the next, you have building administrators, I mean, I think that would be part of it,
District and office administrators,
yeah.
like your head of facilities and,
Oh,
Well, you're thinking more principals.
That's a group, though,
Right.
right?
yeah.
You're still not
We
having
usually
individual.
do building administrators as one group.
But I think like district office administrator, I mean, that would be Dave and
Trish,
Trish and,
Abby.
Okay, so that group,
Yeah.
we should meet with, okay.
Yeah.
And then your building administrators, that would be, it usually includes principals, assistant principals, deans, that kind of role.
We
Okay.
don't have deans.
You have assistant principals?
We have one assistant principal
Okay.
at the high school.
Would that include behavior?
Yeah, we could do
specialists that
behavioral
they can
at the
attend?
elementary and middle school.
Do you want to? Would that be,
That's
have
fine.
you done that in the
I think they
past?
can
Yeah,
just-
we've included other people.
yeah, I think
And-
that's
And
good.
behavioral, okay.
I'm wondering.
Then you have two people from
What do
each
you
school.
think, maybe, I don't know, I'm just thinking, I wonder if the guidance counselors,
They can be part of the teachers group.
oh, yeah, okay.
That would be your certified staff. We'd want a group
I
meeting
mean,
with them.
because our guidance counselors at the middle school and the elementary school have been in those positions for many more years
Right.
than we've had a behavior specialist.
So certified and
So I
non-certified?
was wondering about them
Separate group,
instead
non-certified.
of the behavior specialist, but whatever.
I think we still have the behavior specialist part of that admin group.
Non-certified, that would be
Support staff.
Yeah.
all support staff.
Yep.
Yep.
And then students, we like to meet with high school students,
Yeah.
a wide variety, okay. And then, do you have like parent PTO or any committees that, with parents and that you would want us to pull in?
At the elementary, there is. There's not at the middle school and high school.
Okay, is there a special ed advisory group? A community ed advisory group, kind of thing? Okay.
If you want to get one started.
I don't
Those all
really have
sound
time
wonderful.
this year.
What
I
about,
did think
what about the referendum group?
The
That's what you're gonna
facilities
say?
group.
Just because there's a sampling
That's
of business people, there's
You know,
Well,
that's-
that'd be great
That's probably a
group.
good idea.
That'd be a
Just-
really good group, yeah.
Just
They're all-
because that already is kind of set.
together, right?
Yeah.
The referendum group, do you know their names?
I have them.
Great. That'd be good.
Facility, or what, yeah,
The,
whatever.
the
Facilities
parent group though,
committee.
the elementary, I'm sure would love to give feedback.
Elementary parent group? Okay, so I've got that. Okay, we can easily do that, that's three of us, okay. Any other groups that you think of? Should we meet with, like, do you have a city manager, city mayor, police chief, fire?
I was just wondering, community, if we have the village, we have a sampling of municipalities is the problem here. We have the village, township, and we have parts of other townships. There is a police department, there is a sheriff's office.
We could set one group and could you send them an invite, those people? Would that be
So the
possible?
Somerset Town Board,
Village.
Somerset Village Board,
We could set a time and invite them to come to that, and if they come, good, if they
Could
don't.
send it out through the chamber.
Yeah, the chamber.
Yeah, I was gonna say the chamber probably
Chamber.
should do something too.
So chamber and township leadership, township and village leadership? Okay.
The Lions Club, that's something.
All right.
Oh, Lions Club, yeah.
we've,
Same thing.
I don't know,
We can
had
invite,
us community members say, we got a letter, but that would be a parent, we're doing a focus group with a parent group.
open
No,
evening
elementary.
community,
Right.
Okay.
open evening
Because
community.
we got an email from someone saying, volunteering to be a part of that. She was a parent, but Brad Nemec has also volunteered to be a part of a community representative, as has Jeannie Germain, who
Can
works
you
with
get
our
those
school
names?
district and WITC.
Northwoods.
From her.
Yeah,
You do the township and the village, I think you should include the police department in the village.
Right.
We have a
Just to
school
be a part of
liaison.
Yeah, we have a liaison.
Yeah, we can invite them to be a part of that, and, I mean,
I think it's
obviously.
official.
And those people that she mentioned, can you email those names to her so they can specifically be invited?
Sure.
Great, I think we've done the groups then. And we'll work with her to set up where we do all this and during that day and I'm assuming, she'll be our district liaison to work with. And Mark.
Are you okay with that, Alicia?
You don't have anything else to do, do you? She's here.
Okay, so then, Ken, you want to talk about advertising next? Can you?
Yeah. In the advertising on that, your sheet number, page 6, obviously, we'll immediately, once we'll put together a kind of a little sheet about the district, we'll post that on our school exec website, which reaches people all over the country. We will also, and that's no cost, obviously, on the weekend website, we can work with them to get it posted there, so that's all your people in Wisconsin have connection to that. We'll post it also on the Minnesota Association of School Administrators job site, which is free also because we belong to that organization. And then beyond that, then the question is if the board wants to go any further outside of that. And some districts will, if they want to, they post it like a 4-week online. That will, and American Association of School Administrators, that would be like $409. That would be additional cost. There are Education Week, which is another one that some districts post on. That's 4 weeks online, and that's $395. So when we've been asked, if you want, our suggestion is, it will get a lot of play because we blasted out to all our consultants all over the country that are working on it. Between WeCan and MASA, you're going to get most people who are looking for jobs in Wisconsin or in Minnesota, or in this area, will look at one of those 2 sites. So, and then obviously our own website. So if you would like to broadcast farther, we would suggest then probably the best one would be to go with the ASA online for 4 weeks, and that's $409. So that's a board choice. If you decide to do that, that will be obviously your costs for that.
I don't think we
Otherwise,
should. I think
everything
we've
else
got,
would be free.
we're so close to the metro, I think we'll have a good group
I agree.
applying that wants to be in this area. They already potentially live here, and want to be in the area, are familiar with the area.
Yeah, I agree.
And Ken and Tony, you're comfortable with just doing your own WeCan and Massa?
Yes, and it's on, yes, I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah, I am too. I think we'll hit our pool.
Good.
Perfect.
Okay.
Marge, are you okay with that?
Yep, I'm fine.
Okay.
Okay,
Just wanna
board
make sure.
liaison, we've asked about having Alicia as our internal and working a bit with Mark too. And then are you as board chair, Lori, going to be our connection to the board?
Well, I can be.
Or do you
and
want someone
I'm
else to be?
accessible, so if the rest of the board is all right with that, I can do it.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then what we do is we send things like this document then, in that case, once it's revised, we'll go to her and to Lori, and Lori will say it's okay, and then give her the okay to disperse it to the rest of you. So it's not like we're never communicating with the rest of you, we're just trying to have a point person.
Perfect.
That's fine.
You're probably the most available, right?
Right.
Okay.
And you're consistent through the selection, you'll be here, so.
And she knows that when I don't look at emails to just text me, so it's good.
Okay.
Check your email.
And then the one thing that we'll need, we don't tell anybody this is the salary, but we like to have a salary range of about 20,000, this to this, for base salary. And then we do ask for a copy of the current district administrator's contract, if that can be sent to us.
Yep.
And so,
Alicia, can you have Jody send a copy of Mark's contract? Thank you.
and then, when we advertise it everywhere, it will say regionally competitive. It won't have your range in it. But once we start talking to you as the potential candidate, and you ask us, well, I'm making this, what can I leave this for? And we'll tell you a range. And some other things get worked out sometimes. But we'll tell you that salaries are going up. We've been really surprised at what salaries are. So,
Well, there's cost of living increase everywhere too, so, I mean, that, it almost has to, so. And we should all be getting a cost of living increase.
yes, don't we all wish?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Right.
that's everything I
That's
think
it.
we need. Do you need something more from Ken and me?
I do not.
I don't have everything nailed down on my notes.
I'll nail it down and send it to you as a
On
draft.
page 4. Page 4 is the one that I'm really wishy-washy on.
Okay,
Thank you.
I will revise this. You'll get it revised by Thursday sometime.
That was the groups page, right? The groups and the
Yeah.
Yep,
individuals.
yep. It'll be all what our decisions were.
Okay.
The days that they would be coming in for full interviews, that was the week of the 25th, right?
Third, fourth,
Okay.
fifth, yeah.
24th, okay.
23rd,
When they're doing tours and stuff, okay.
the 23rd, 24th, 25th.
Mhm.
And you're needed from 5 o'clock on.
No, I was just looking at Mark's vacation schedule and just, I think that would be a good thing for him to be a part of. The full day.
Oh,
as
to
our
them
liaison.
around.
Yes.
Yeah, right, yes, we do too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good, I forgot he said that.
it's good because it gives the candidates a chance to ask questions about the district and issues and stuff. It's good when it can be, it's a district administrator. Okay,
Okay.
you have my phone number if you need me.
I do.
You have Ken's phone number if you need him. You okay, Ken? Do you have anything you want to
Thank
ask?
you, that was great. Goodwill. This will be great to start moving forward on that.
And thank you for joining us remotely, Marjorie.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Marjorie.
Thanks,
It got
Marge.
dark there.
Right?
It got dark there.
Well, yeah, I've got to get the lights turned on.
You can see you well, so that's okay.
You're glowing.
Thank you very, very much, and we're excited to be working with you again.
All right.
Thank
And
you so
that
much,
bridge is
Tony.
That bridge is beautiful. I mean, we came to the Christmas lights stuff this year as a family, and that bridge is just beautiful.
You're talking
Some
about the
people
new
call it
one?
the Stillwater Bridge, but it's the Somerset Bridge.
Right, that's right.
And has
That's
it
right.
really increased, do you see it having an impact on people moving here? or
Uh-huh.
anything?
Yeah.
Not on our enrollments to date, but it sure appears that there's a lot of building going on.
Yeah, I saw houses like I didn't see before.
So do we need a motion to
Yes,
adjourn? I will make
please.
a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
All right, so a motion by Cherie to adjourn, seconded by Lacey, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion,
Does that ever-
meeting
You're welcome.
is adjourned.